Welcome to another episode of the Life Doula podcast. I am Charity Marahomsar, your Life Doula. Today's episode is about cancer and the art of living life full of courage and living life to the fullest. Allow us to bring you a different flavor, a brighter perspective, and really view cancer from a brighter lens. With me is a very special person whom I have journeyed with since 2016. So allow us to be able to walk you through the otherwise very positive and very courageous way to journey with cancer. Our guest today is a familiar face in most of my classes during the pandemic. I met her serendipitously, I think back in 2016 or 2017. We became so connected. Her role in my life changed during the pandemic, and now I refer to her as my divine connector. Divine connector because she plays a big role in how our community, Better Days community, is being supported by a lot of really good subject matter experts. Divine connector in such a way that she also connects me with the right people in our space. So today I am so blessed and really grateful that she was able to make time for us. Doctora Boots de Guzman Francisco. Ayan, buong buo. Hi, Doctora!
Hello, Charity. Finally, I am the one doing the podcast with you, and it is really an honor and a privilege to do so.
Thank you so much. Ano to we have been trying to find the right schedule. So I'm really honored to have Dr. Boots here. For context, for people who have not seen our class together or our previous interviews together, can you just introduce or give a brief background to our audience? How you came about in this journey and how you are now?
Oh, okay. So I'm Boots Francisco. I'm a physician by profession, an oncologist, in fact, a medical oncologist. But I was diagnosed with stage 0 colon cancer way back in 2015.
O yun, one year pala after we met.
Yes, yes. And I was a very obedient and vigilant patient when it came to monitoring. So everything was clear and smooth sailing until 2020. That was at the time of the pandemic, when during my usual colonoscopy, and I was looking forward to being declared cancer-free
Yeah,
after
5 years.
5 years. Lo and behold, they found a huge tumor nearly obstructing my colon. And that took me by surprise. That took everybody by surprise because I was not feeling anything.
Yeah.
And everything followed. Since then, I had to undergo all the modalities of treatment needed, from surgery to, of course, chemotherapy, and then more surgeries. Basically, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. So I jumped from stage 0 to stage 4
So we said from 0 to 4.
from 0 to 4 in 5 years' time. And since 2020, until now, as we speak, I am still a stage 4 cancer patient undergoing chemotherapy. And actually, as of my last PET scan in November 2023, I actually have progressive disease. But here I am, still going through the journey with God's grace. And still, in fact, I just had my 30th 30th infusion of chemotherapy a few days ago.
Ayun, hindi, doesn't look like she came from an infusion a few days ago. So, that big jump from 0 to 4 and relentlessly, I am, at the front seat of all of this happening, seeing you go through, as you said, surgeries, um, chemo. How have you been coping physically, emotionally, mentally? How have you been the past couple of months?
Oh, from 2020, it has really been a roller coaster ride. Um, you try to be obedient because there's no other choice. You have to receive the treatment, and then you're hoping that everything will be okay after you finish a certain course of chemotherapy or after the surgery, but it doesn't work that way. uh, Quiets down a bit, and then there's this sudden dip in the ride when you discover that the cancer is back and you have to receive another form of treatment again. So coping was not that easy. My first couple of years were marked with a lot of fear, apprehension, and even feelings of anger and betrayal sometimes. But everything has evolved now. As you can see, I speak with an atmosphere, an aura of peace and of let's see where God takes me.
Wow. Wow. uh, I promised myself that this podcast would be very informative and not emotional, but you know, I have heard that story. We talk almost every day, but listening to her just, gives me this sense of emotion, that the waves that she has gone through in life, just every time I see her knocked out, if I might use the word emotionally, because I've seen her, I find that she picks herself up so gracefully and puts on this, not just a front, really a decision to be fearless, courageous, but I think faithful
That's correct.
in the journey.
I hope so. I hope I am projecting that kind of aura or image. Mhm.
Um, but I would say that yours is a very different journey because as you introduced yourself earlier, you're a physician, an oncologist, and now you are a person living with cancer, right?
Yes,
I don't know if that's good, bad, or easy because you kind of have um, an advantage in terms of the knowledge. How has that been for you? This combination of, I know what's happening to me, I know the type of treatments that, because you were there, right? You were once, and you still are, you still advise patients up to now. Would you have changed any of the advices that you gave to your patients before, now that you are journeying
oh,
through this?
okay. So I often asked myself over the last 4 years, why did it happen to an oncologist like myself? Because everything is available to me. I know where to look for information. I know like what's next. Uh, Unlike patients who have no background at all and they depend totally on what the doctors would say.
Yes.
Yes. But overall, I think it has been an advantage on my part to be inflicted with a condition that I specialized in because I studied about all these tumors, especially colon cancer, quite extensively during my training, and I keep abreast of the developments. So when something happens, like for example, the disease came back, I know what my attending oncologist would say. I already know the options. Yes. All I have to do is decide. And that's where the background and the expertise comes in because I can make one, a very intelligent decision that is not based on, okay, what this doctor said or what I read here, but also on experience, especially when it comes to the adverse effects of treatment. And then, second, I can relate the type of treatment that I am supposed to undergo with a more important aspect of cancer therapy, and that is quality of life. So that leads me to say that had I experienced all of this when I was still in active practice, I wouldn't have been so much focused on the academic portion and say, okay, to a patient, these are your choices. You have to choose one of them. If this fails, then we go up to level two and then to level three, so and so. I would really take time to explain to them with every choice, you have to balance what the benefits of treatment are, what the risks are, and what the quality of your life will be. Not just in terms of yourself, but also of the people around you.
Wow. Um, there truly is a reason for whatever season in life you're going through,
Mhm.
and I always believe that your journey is not just for you, right? It's for people like me who, draws inspiration from you. People, friends who are taking care of you, who cannot believe that you are strong, sometimes stronger than them when you travel. That is a beautiful reflection. Balance the academic side of what we tell the patients versus the quality of life and the risks. That's very holistic for me. Yung parang you don't just dwell on the this is what your treatment will be, but what's the impact to your quality of
Exactly.
life? And
Yeah.
you said something really beautiful, not just for you, but for the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that's not factored in. Uh, the quality of life of the love givers, that's almost not in the equation when cancer patients make decisions, right? Or very few physicians, I would say, would even look at the quality of life of the
The
patient
family,
and the
the
family.
family member, especially. Yes.
Yes, yes. Um, it's listening to you or reading your text is so different from actually listening to you talk about it. At this point, as a follow-up question to that, does the saying ignorance is bliss, does it help you, or you are more comfortable knowing what you are really up against because you are a physician and an oncologist at that?
Mhm. Well, I would say ignorance is bliss when you don't know the results of your PET scan. And I'm sure you relate with that. But for a stage 4 cancer patient like myself, and everything can be so unpredictable in the next few months. You know how treacherous this disease is.
Yes.
It's important to know. But it takes so much courage. You have to muster up so much courage to bring yourself to the PET scan center and have the test done. But like everyone says, nothing will beat knowing the truth. So I feel I must. People tell me, then don't, you're feeling okay, then don't have a PET scan so often. But I said, I would do that if I'm just thinking of myself. But I have a family
Yes.
that I belong to and who loves me very, very much. So, more for their sake, I would like to know where I stand so that I can plan my life with them.
I will just throw in something that probably only very few friends or people who studied with Dr. Boots know. It's hard enough that she's an oncologist, but she graduated at the top of her class, so it makes it harder for her team of medical oncologists to take care of her only because they know. they have to really put together a sound recommendation. I think that makes it harder. And Dr. Boots and I share the same oncologist. Uh, a friend, a dear friend to both of us, Dr. Charity Gorospe, who
Mhm.
takes care of her and who continuously take care of me. Um, you mentioned something about knowing where you really stand in your disease as a stage 4 cancer patient.
Mhm.
And you also did mention that it is not just for your sake, but for your family's sake. Um, allow our audience to probably picture the role that your family has played why you're able to go through this, keep living a full life and going through this courageously.
Well, being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer has first of all made me realize that part of the marriage vow which says in sickness and in health, because my husband has really been with me every step of the way. As busy as he is, he will drop everything when I need to go for treatment. Um, and he will also adjust his schedules in order to prioritize my care. My daughter is well aware also of my disease status. She is almost a physician, but
Yoo-hoo.
as much as possible, these are the critical months, like leading up to graduation. So I would not really want to bother her. Although she tells me that every time I have a PET scan, she should be the second to know.
Oh, in that order, no? The
After the
dad
dad
and
and then the daughter, yes. So regardless of how busy she is or whether or not her hospital circumstances are favorable, I have to tell her the result. And I trust that she would be able to understand the situation much better because of her now ongoing medical training.
the support of the family is much needed, but you are very blessed because you're also surrounded by physicians in your family. Your husband's a doctor, and now your daughter is going to be, soon a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And despite her busy schedule, I am aware that she really finds time to be with you when she can in the hospital.
Yes, she does. Yes. Mhm. When I was admitted last November for a procedure, she would, during the only 12 hours that she could spend sleeping comfortably at home, she would go to the hospital and sleep on the couch just to keep
Wow.
me company.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, for those who know you, us whom you have inspired, and you continue to inspire the past several years, where do you draw that positive disposition regarding, especially now? You mentioned earlier that yours is not stable, yours is a progressive disease. Where do you draw that positivity to be able to always, look forward to something?
Mhm. From complete abandonment to the Lord of what the future uh, has in store for me. So I've surrendered my life, my remaining days, or months, or years, whatever He may give to Him. It's totally in His call, and I'm just here to follow.
You know, everybody knows I'm an end of life doula, but when you said that, parang with such a big smile on your
Of
face,
course, yes.
the word surrender,
Mhm.
you're taking it to a different level of meaning. I hear people say surrender, but cannot say it with a smile in their face.
Um, I I've learned to look at being diagnosed with cancer as a special grace. Like, I think it was in my DNA when I was born, like 62 years ago, that okay, when I grow up, I'm going to have this disease. And I actually feel very special about it because not everyone is given this privilege to share in the suffering of our Lord,
Wow.
to, to carry his cross. So instead of looking at it as some form of punishment for whatever sins you might have committed, I look at it as like him extending his cross to me and saying, would you like to help me carry it just as much as, because if you do, I am also going to help you carry your own
Wow.
cross.
Um, I know I have a question, but that kind of just made me stop because I have this image of your picture in one of your trips. Can you remind me that you were literally at the foot of the cross?
Oh, yes. We went to the mountains, the Dolomites in Italy last September, I think, and this was this was like a week after my chemotherapy session, and like I think I overestimated myself with regards the physical energy needed to climb, but I said I think I have to give up because I can no longer do it. And then all of a sudden, the clouds started
Part.
to part, and then on the top of on the summit was a huge wooden cross, and it was just like there. It was being covered
Yeah.
by all the mist.
Yeah.
So I said, God sustained me and gave me the energy. So that
Just to
means,
get to
yeah,
that.
to get to Him. Yes.
Wow. That's very poetic,
Uh huh.
because that somehow it's a reflection of your journey. A lot of times you feel like giving up, but parang when clouds part, then a new option or a new road or a pathway opens.
With Him taking
Yes,
center stage.
always.
Yes.
So your positive outlook is really from a long journey of faith to surrender, as you
Yes,
said.
definitely. It wasn't an instant process of surrendering. Of course, we are all human beings, and there's always this impulse, like I want to control what's
The
happening.
outcome.
Yes, I want to control the outcome. I cannot accept anything but what I want. But you come to a point when you realize that no amount of medical treatment or no expertise of such a good team of doctors will be enough. Over and above all of this is the ultimate divine healer who has the last say.
Wow. Um, Many times in this podcast, I'm just parang I just will stop because I again I talk to you almost every day. We text each other every day, but listening to you say all of this is really almost very how do I say it? Divinely guided. This conversation leading us to here. I come to you for help for my patients who are journeying,
Mhm.
who do not have a stable disease but has a progressive disease like yours and who's tired, right?
Yes.
When will this end? What would your advice be for them? Like what you said, we like to control the outcome. I'm on my fourth year. I'm on my fifth year. When will this end? What advice would you give them?
I'd like to use the words of my dear friend who just passed on, Father Ted Santiago. I think he put the message in the best manner possible. Do not ask how long, but rather say, however long, Lord, and I will do your will.
Wow. Our human mind would always make us think that we have the control
Mhm.
of the outcome. And a lot of times doctors are blamed, right? Oh, I'm not getting better because of you. But I
That
love
comes
that.
with the trade.
Yeah, it comes with a trade. But to get them to understand and just pivot their mindset a little bit. And instead of saying, when will this end or when will I get better? Father Ted left you a very powerful lesson, however long.
Long.
It,
Just we will just follow, however long it takes.
and again, that's abandonment
Mhm.
of the self, abandonment of our tendency to control the outcomes of our life,
Mhm.
right? Um, let's talk about embracing this life. I call it an art because I saw you. Actually, I have a book here. This is one of Dr. Booth's book. She writes of all the travels. So I always call her my poster child for living a full life. At what point in your journey did you decide, I have stage 4 cancer. It's not stable, but I will continue to live the life I want to live.
Well, first of all, I am blessed, very much blessed that despite having stage 4, I'm not the typical stage 4. Look at
Yes.
me, like I talk a lot, I move a lot. But that can happen. My scans are definite. I look a lot better than my scans. My scans are terrible. So I want to take advantage of this feeling relatively well in order to make the most out of life. Because every day you wake up to and you're feeling all right, then you'll never know what the next days will bring. So might as well make the most out of each day that you wake up to. And that's why we are all equipped with talents, with faculties, and the the books came as a result of like thanking God that despite my condition, He still allowed me to do one of my passions, which is traveling. So, why end the trip with like, okay, the return flight to Manila and it's over? You can inspire other people by writing about first where you went and then relating it to uh, creation, the beauty of creation. And like how wonderful our God is because you can see his hand in the simplest of things to the most
To the
marvelous, to
grandest.
the grandest of things. So that's what I want to impart to people through my writings. Fortunately, I have a husband and a daughter who take very good pictures. So that combines well with my humble writing abilities. And
Wow.
voila, yeah,
Yeah. And this,
the
how many
travel
books,
books.
how many travel books have you written?
11, and I'm working on the 12th.
Wow. I must admit that a lot of people say, how can Boots do trampoline? Or how can she do, what was the last activity that you did that everyone was so scared of?
That swing, that
Almost like a zip.
no, not a zip line. It was like an anti-gravity swing. So
That everyone was like, why did she do that? But again, this is part of you living a full life. If you have the strength, it's safe. It's not like you're reckless.
no,
It's
yes.
safe. Why not?
Why
Why
not?
why
Really?
stop? Right?
Yes.
So, you know, uh, a lesson I'd like to really harvest for everyone who's listening. Cancer need not dominate your life. The choices that Dr. Boots makes every day allows her to live a full life. Doctor, I want to backtrack a bit. You mentioned something about you being a physician allows you to make intelligent and informed decisions. I want to throw this question very honestly and say, if doctors advise you to go for a more aggressive treatment so that in the hope of stabilizing your disease, what would your response be to that?
Actually, they have already.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I was I was diagnosed to have progressive disease in November of last year. So naturally, the next course of action would be to shift medications to a much higher one. And I know the choices involved, and I had to study them. They were new drugs, but I found out that the advantages would in life, for example, in extending life, would just be like 2 to 4 months uh, over the present regimen I'm receiving. But that would come with an entirely new set of adverse effects. So I said, why do you have to rock my boat? Like, I'm feeling okay. Isn't that a good response in itself? So let's talk about it when I start feeling symptoms. But right now, that of course, I'm not entirely symptom free. There are aches, there are pains, there are some side
But
effects.
nothing that will make you
Nothing
stop.
that will confine me to the room or like make me isolate myself because of fear of infection. So while things are going on like this, and I hope it continues to go on for a much longer time, then let's not rock the boat. Let's continue what we're doing.
So again, choice
Choice is paramount,
and quality of life.
of course.
I remember a discussion with you where you were sharing with me that some of the adverse effects was you could hardly even put a glass and give a glass of water to your husband, and I remember
Yes,
you
the
saying,
neuropathy symptoms then. But that one, I had to go through that set because the end point was different. At that time, we were still aiming for cure. So regardless of the side effects, by all means, let's do this because we can aim for cure. And true enough, I had like a disease-free interval of about 6 months. But when the disease came back, I said, no way you're gonna give me that same regimen or a higher regimen. But fortunately, they found this present regimen which I'm receiving till now as we
which
speak,
gives you a good
which
balance.
gives me a very good balance. And that's why I'm able to do a lot of things.
Again, quality of life
Yes.
over you mentioned life prolongation. I want to hone this. You don't feel scared when you think about, life prolongation. You actually made a choice of quality of life versus prolonging your life with, you know adverse side effects of
Mhm.
chemotherapy. You don't feel scared.
Of course I do. There are moments I am still 200% human and the fear creeps in at times. But I would rather choose not to dwell on the fear when it comes, but rather like offer it as a prayer as well. Lord, you gave me this emotion. I don't want to worry about it. I'm giving it to you because you know what to do about it. And
And
then that's when I start to like uh, digress from the emotions and engage in something that would be more productive.
move forward and do
Correct.
something,
Yes.
and not dwell, but
Not dwell.
acknowledge the emotion.
Yes, of course, you have to pass through it. But like it's overacting if you worry yourself too much or much less worry others because they see you. So for me, if if the fear there's a fear surge, I have go-to people na okay, I have to cry this out. I need a catharsis.
Yeah.
My husband, my spiritual director, Charity, you, and then okay, you have to listen to me, and then I'll just cry it out, and then no, I'm okay. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do
So when
something
when
else.
she is quiet, we all jump on her, and why are you quiet? And she would say, I'm writing something. Okay. Then we're okay. Um, you know, Listening to you, I know you're part of when you were in medical school, you had this D group. Was it D
No, we
team?
were arranged alphabetically. So my maiden name is De Guzman. So we've remained close through the decades,
Yeah,
and we
so
call
all the
ourselves
D's in
the
the
D's
class.
in the
So
class.
I mentioned earlier that her middle name is de Guzman, but listening to her, I think your middle name should be C. Courage, right? Finding courage at every point and juncture of your journey. You have mentioned several times in our conversation
I
today.
think the courage there has to be connected with something else.
And
Courage that comes from Christ.
oh,
Because on my own, I wouldn't get that even an ounce of courage to deal with the situation. But His grace, which is sufficient for me, allows me to muster up enough courage to meet each day.
you've answered my next question, which is
Oh,
how has faith played? And you're saying that it's everything. It plays a big role in your journey in your life right now. Without your faith in Him, you won't be able to pull yourself together
definitely,
and
yes.
be courageous enough to make these decisions.
I just know, and by faith, I believe that He has the best plan for me. Whether He allows me to, whether He makes a miraculous cure, or whether He takes me sometime, or whether He allows me to continue this present ministry in
Yes.
inspiring other people. He leads the way and I follow. So if you believe that He has the best plan and it will supersede all other plans, then why worry?
If He has the best plans, then
Yes,
you
and if
succumbed your plans.
yes, and I've managed to change my perception of death as what oncologists are usually uh, we're trained to like be able to handle deaths because most of our patients, especially the advanced stage patients, eventually go. But I'd rather look at it as a transition because we're just passersby in this world and we have an ultimate destination that is not anywhere else on the globe, somewhere better.
We're going to digress because of what you said, and I'm looking at you straight in the eye. I hope I don't cry. Um, Doctora, are you afraid of dying?
The human part of me is, but I, in my love for travel, I've
Travel?
always told my husband and even my spiritual director, si Father Aris, Father, when it's time for me to go, I'll just look at it as okay. I have only one ticket. I'm gonna do an ocular of the next life. And then I'll tell you all about it probably in a dream or something. But mauna lang ako, I'll do the ocular.
What a point of view. This is the first time I'm hearing this from you.
Di ba?
When did you tell Nobet this?
I always tell him that. And it edifies him because he of course there is this sadness that comes when we think of it. But like especially now, I don't know, it's wake week. We've been going to wakes, but I said, you know, when it's my time, don't have all those sad music. I want a disco party for a send off, I
Okay.
said, because
I
that's what I like.
I will take note of that as your volunteer end of life doula. But I want to capture that because of your travel experience. You wake up to God's magnificent view. You are now looking at death as, just another trip.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll be the first one to. I mean, I'll go ahead of the others. Para ako yung may exit pass to do an ocular of hopefully heaven. No
No,
more layover in
oh,
purgatory.
no, no more staging. It's amazing that you're able to talk, speak with such peace
Mhm.
and smile. And you're mentioning that you've been talking about this to your husband. Has the environment when the topic is brought up, it is it open? Like, do they feel comfortable when you talk about it?
My husband is very comfortable. My daughter will stop everything and say, "Why are you thinking about that?" And I respect that.
Yes.
Probably,
Very normal.
well, it's very normal. So she said, "Aren't you going to wait for me until I finish my training in residency?" And I said, "Of course, I'd like to do that."
And that's what all of your friends, me included, would say.
Mhm.
Why do we pray for Boots to witness her daughter's graduation? We should pray for a longer. And
No,
that's
no,
what,
I'm not taking God by surprise. Like, if I may use the term hirit, my unang hirit was, Lord, I just want to see my daughter graduate in August. And then when I see her graduate, that's when I'll make another request. Okay, Lord, let's pass the boards, and then Lord, let's go further and further.
someone said, if you want to feel how it is to ask our Father, if you're a parent, then you know that our Father listens. So I think that's
Absolutely.
my airdrop for you, that He's listening to your prayers, because when our children ask or hear it from us, we listen, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's the airdrop that I just got now. Earlier you mentioned that this week is a wake week. You have
Yes.
been going from one wake to another.
5 wakes in what day of the week it is? It's
Friday.
Friday. 5 wakes in 5 days.
Wow. And you mentioned something like, I don't want that side music. Now, let's talk about that. How do you envision it to be? How do you want it to be?
No, actual celebration of life. Because my life has really been, especially the last 4 years, they have been the most beautiful years of my 62-year existence. And that's why I'd like to everyone to celebrate God's blessings and provisions.
Isn't that an irony?
Yeah.
You go through cancer and you say, this has been one of the most
They have been the
beautiful
best years. The
best
best
years.
years.
Wow.
In all honesty and with sincerity, they have been the best years.
Why?
Because my life before that was a-okay, like you have a career, you have a good family, you're serving God. But it doesn't stop there. There's no limit to loving God, there's no limit to loving family. And more importantly, like, this is the time I realized, like, you remember the parable of the talents?
Yes.
That everybody's endowed with talents. But it's only really, of course, I've tried to make the most out of them as a student, as a practicing physician. But even more now that I'm using it not to my own benefit, not for my own self-esteem or glory, but first to help others, inspire them, and most of all, second but most importantly, to give glory to the Lord. So if I probably was not afflicted with this condition, I would just be within my comfort zone and limiting my abilities to something that's comfortable for me. But now, like,
Wow.
you can go out and extend as much help as you can to people who are in similar situations,
That's true. And
and to the people taking care of them, and even to people who don't have cancer at all but who can still make a go of their life. They might be dealing with something depressing, or they might find themselves like not useful, or even to pull them out of their comfort zone and find their ministry.
find the purpose of their
Yes,
life.
exactly.
You mentioned life celebration. Did you really mean that when it's time, when the end comes, you want people to celebrate your life?
Yes, yes.
So give me a vision of how it is. How do you want us? Do you want us having wine?
Why not? Uh, and then I said, no, you know those typical songs that they play during wakes. No, no, I have a playlist.
You
These
have
are
a
my favorite songs. I want them played. And then this is true, I already scanned all my pictures. Yes. No, it will come. It will come for everybody. So I don't want to give them a hard time when it happens that, oh, where are her pictures? Everything is sorted out, classified. Toddler years, student years, medicine years, etc. So that
wow. Wala na kaming
whoever,
gagawin.
wala na kang gagawin. So that whoever wants to make, my daughter makes excellent videos, by the way, or maybe I can ask your help. It's all there. And then I said, these are the songs in the playlist
Wow.
that I want. Wala yung mga, those
Ano,
hindi
so,
kita malilimut. Ay, no, no, no. I said, no, not those. like play Stevie Wonder, play the Bee Gees, uh, play Andy Gibb. Those things should be played. And then everybody in pink or yellow. Something
nothing
like that.
black, no
Not
black.
black. No,
Oh, wow.
no.
You know, Boots, you know that I do life celebrations. Like I really put together a family with the patient. Is it something you're going to be open to doing?
Yes, why not? Of course, if I'm strong enough to do it. And that's why, that's where the advantage of being a physician comes in. Because, well, as physicians, we know when things are deteriorating. So even before that happens, and I don't want people to see me in that state. I want them to remember me like I'm all made up because you know me, I never appear without my eyebrows.
Yes, Kila is
Yes,
life.
Kila is life, and like my hair is okay. There, that's time when
Yes.
we have to get together and celebrate.
But you know, Boots really loves organizing get togethers. This I must tell you. She's like, she can put things together really, really quickly. You know, I want to harness this gift that you just shared with us. You said something like, why wait? Why not prepare? What advice would you give people who are hesitant to prepare for when it comes? I guess you said you have the advantage, right? But just that whole process of preparation, what value does it give for people living with cancer to be able to do that?
First of all, you take the burden from the family because it's difficult. It's challenging enough living with a family member or a loved one who will eventually suffer. And then having to fix all of these things. Actually, wakes, I think, are for the living.
Yes.
For the living. But if you fix everything while the person is still alive and able to appreciate them, then it's such a thorn out of you that she goes peacefully. It's not like you want her to go, but everything has been settled. Closures have been made, and you don't like the family doesn't owe the sick loved one like, oh, she needs a proper wake, a proper burial, because everything was done beforehand.
Yeah. And you know what? To people I've seen who prepares, the grieving is a lot easier
Yes.
because there's nothing left unsaid. Um, so preparation is key. You unburden your loved
Mm-hmm.
ones when you prepare. And but of course everything is really timing, right?
Yes.
How you want all of this. You are talking about preparation. Does this mean that your health wishes when the time comes 10 years down the road, I
Hopefully.
pray, are also in order?
Of course, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wala akong masabi, no?
Because that's where the physician in me comes in. So down to the smallest detail, I am able to tell my husband about it. Of course, he says, "Why now?" And I'm just telling you, but he knows that I have my wishes.
Parang wala na akong maa-add na work, maa-add na value. Doktora, there is something that we call in the end of life, we have a term. It's like a spring clean, where we help the patient put together stuff that they want to leave. Is it something that you're already thinking? Is that in your mind? Because a lot of times, loved ones do not know what to do with the things that the patient owns. And so in the end of life space, we call it spring clean, right?
Well, I went through that with my mom when she passed
Wow.
on. That was really difficult because nothing was prepared. So I'm not going through the same process. I want to make sure that they don't have to do any spring cleaning.
And you want to be able to leave things to the right
Everything
people.
in order, the OC person that I am. Everything in order.
Wow. I can sense that your backpack, if we call the life a metaphor, backpack is so light at this point. Your current disposition, even as you declare that your current state of health is your progressive disease stage for cancer patient, your backpack is so light.
Yes,
I
because
don't
we entered this world with nothing and we're leaving with nothing. I might even leave that empty backpack behind.
sa inyo na yan.
Yeah, that's yours.
Wow. So, does this deter you from planning long range plans?
Because of the PET scans and, of course, the unpredictable nature of the disease, like I can plan as much as 3 months. Yeah, just 3 months. So I have plans until May, and then let's do the scan in May, and then let's take it from there. Where's the next destination?
Yun yung planning, no?
Yes.
Yun yung...
Where's what are the next get-togethers? What are other projects that I can do?
So, Doctora, for those who are in the same state, what perspective would you give them in terms of end of life?
I think that what allows me to meet every day head on is, aside from the abandonment to the Lord, is an attitude of gratefulness. So if you look at everything as a blessing and you say, I am grateful for the small things and the little things, because nothing happens at random, then you don't look at it as, oh, it's too bad she only lived up to age 63 or something. Look at it the opposite way and say, wow, what a full life she had until
Yes,
age
at
63.
63.
Yeah, something like that. And she's very thankful that she was able to do all of this. But I hope it's not 63.
Yes.
65,
Plus,
60, plus,
plus.
plus, plus.
But because
So gratefulness.
beyond that, point of view, parang it's such a liberating point of view.
Don't Isn't it something to be grateful for, that you can prepare for end of life, as compared to somebody who just gets a heart attack and wasn't able to do anything, wasn't able to relay all the messages. So this is actually like the best way to prepare.
Is that also the same perspective you want to be able to share to the love givers too?
Yes.
Because in my experience, it's the families who are not ready to prepare.
Oh, yes, definitely. Even during my years of clinical practice, it was much more challenging to deal with the family and love givers than with the patient. But by experience, the patient is very much aware of his or her condition, because he feels it. He feels there's something wrong. But that's when all this holistic modalities come into play, because just as much as the patient needs to be prepared, so does the family or the group of people around.
I think beyond your blessings of having the knowledge, one of your greatest blessing is your two love givers who, as you said, would drop everything um, or move around your schedule.
Not only them, I have an army, my own army, of prayer warriors who are really the staunchest in terms of like praying for my intentions. And I have a spiritual daddy whom I can go to. Like, not as a priest lang na you confess and ask for anointing, but rather really as like someone God sent whom you can release all your emotions to and ask, is it okay to get mad at God for a while? And then he'll say, go on, shout, shout all you want. And then he'll just kick in with some piercing message that will put me back in place.
Or steer you back to
Yes.
your position of courage
Mm-hmm.
and faith. As a mother, as a wife, and as a friend, how do you want people to remember you?
As a cancer warrior who did not allow her life to be dominated by cancer, but who used the condition to bring other people closer to God.
Wow. They say we complicate our life purpose. Actually, we only have one, and that's what you said. And that is to follow God and bring people and bring Him to the lives of people.
That's true.
That's our only mission.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to complicate it with many, many things. But
The medals don't matter, the awards don't matter in the end. It's how did you use your own circumstances to lead others to discover their self-worth and to discover Christ in their lives.
our podcast today is Cancer and the Art of Living, choosing faith, courage, and living a full life. My dear friend, Dr. Boots Francisco de Guzman, sorry,
Baliktad.
baliktad, Dr. Boots de Guzman Francisco, every day embraces her life with cancer, but does not allow cancer to dominate her life. Instead, uses that circumstances through courage and through faith to be able to live life the best way she knows how. Thank you so much for that very inspiring episode. I threw all my questions out. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. It's a pleasure and a privilege, as I said.
This will go down to be one of the best discussions, conversations
All
I
for
will
His
ever
glory.
have. Yes, all for His greater glory. Thank you so much, Boots. I want to give you a hug.
Thank you.